I got you. There you go.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our baseball division meeting for today, March 30th. And before we get started, hand over to Connor to talk about the Fantasy Baseball League.
Yeah, so I'm kind of taking a backseat on this one this week. Matt's going to kind of do his little thing today. But quick announcement, we're planning on doing a Fantasy Baseball League, if that's something you guys would be interested in for this upcoming season, which thank God starts on Thursday. I'm so excited. So I think we'd have to probably draft like tomorrow, I think. And Matt, you probably know a little bit more about it, but is that something that you guys would be interested in, would want to do, stuff like that?
You can just say in the chat
okay.
if you do
it.
Yeah,
I would.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so Peter, I don't know how you want to go about doing it. Maybe you want to just send an email. We could send an email out tomorrow or tonight with like the league, the link, stuff like that.
Yeah, I can actually just make the league right after this and then send an email out to everybody who got the email for this division meeting. So I think that's like 20 people.
Okay.
And then, from there.
That works. Sweet.
How about a draft day? Like what time tomorrow? Because
Very soon.
everyone's got something going on. But like,
Yeah.
Work for you guys? Like 9, 10 o'clock?
I mean, that's my guess. That'd probably be best for just about everybody. I mean,
yeah, probably something on the later side.
Something later. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get started. So I'd say we're going to talk about the Longshangle Revolution and then bouncing off that, what's going to happen with the new baseballs this year. So the Longshangle Revolution, it's nothing new. It's all of you surely are familiar with it, but I just want to talk about it to introduce what I really want to talk about later. But yeah, the basics of the Longshangle Revolution are that ground balls are bad. You don't want to hit ground balls. I have this data here from 2014. And that's kind of when I would say things really got started in terms of like public knowledge of the Longshangle Revolution. But as you can see, it's a very simple concept. You hit worse when you hit the ball on the ground. You want to hit the ball in the air. Fly balls are good. Line drives, even better. I also included the basic like StatCast like barrel chart there. And we're not really talking about barrels today. That has a whole other element of exit velo in there. But that's just another visual representation that you want to get the ball in the air. So an example, someone who did this, I picked Anthony Rendon. There are a lot of like more talked about examples. I'd probably say like Daniel Murphy is one that people always talk about. There's some others, but I feel like Rendon isn't super talked about with the Longshangle Revolution. And so yeah, here I have since StatCast existed in 2015, his ground ball rate each year, first of all, and you can see that is decreasing each year. So he's hitting fewer ground balls each year. And then it makes sense that his average Longshangle is, generally speaking, on the incline in all these years as well. And then as that has been going on, he's become a better hitter as well, but has increased. And he ended up becoming MVP candidate, World Series hero, basically by buying into hitting the ball in the air more. So now let's talk about juice balls. And so you could not watch the MLB season in 2019 without hearing about juice balls. And really, I think when I first started really hearing about it was probably 2017. But 2019 was just a year that every baseball fan knew about the juice balls. So basically, home run rates are on the extreme rise. People hitting home runs left and right. Part of this has to do with what we just discussed, more people hitting the ball in the air, but even with more people hitting the ball in the air, just something unusual is going on. And everyone who watches enough baseball picked up on that and knows exactly that there's something going on. But at the same time, we haven't heard any official word really from MLB. And a lot of pitchers have been mad about this. Pitchers are, one of two things are going on. Either MLB is changing their balls on purpose and they're not telling us, or they have no idea what's going on with the single most important piece of equipment in their game. Both things are bad. So here are just some numbers on the juice ball trend that we've seen as well. So as you can see, home runs per fly ball, that's been going up pretty consistently since 2014. I could have included home runs per plate appearance as well, but we just spent time talking about how more people are purposely hitting the ball in the air. So I just wanted to go home runs per fly ball. And then as you can see here on the right, this is a list of the teams hit the most home runs ever. So in history, the top 4 are all in 2019. And if we had a full season last year, I'm sure there would be some 2020s in there as well. And then also there's another one in the top 10 in 2019 too. The A's, in 2018 Yankees too. As I said, this really started in 2017. So, but although 2019 it took off to a whole another level. So yeah, this is just a problem that's been happening. And it's just been a mystery. It's just been like, how can this happen? Why are they doing this? Are they even doing it on purpose? That's just been the speculation. And it's really interesting because, you know, it screws over certain types of pitchers, like fly ball pitchers. All of a sudden, they're more prone to just getting like hit really hard, and you know, and then we have ground ball pitchers are doing better, and avoiding balls in the air is just more important now than it ever has been. And so now, what's happening this year? This is really what I wanted to talk about. Because I think this is really interesting. And honestly, how could you not? As I said, the baseball is the single most important piece of equipment in the game. So what's going on? What's about to happen for this season? Why are we talking about this? MLB announced that they will make alterations to the baseball in 2021. Now, so the exact thing that they're doing is they are loosening the tension of the first roll winding. So, I mean, you know, this gets into some really like specific things here. But basically what that's going to do, the result of it, is that it's going to reduce the weight of the ball by about 1/10 of an ounce. And it's also going to lead to a slight decrease in the bounciness of the ball, which is measured by core, which is the coefficient of restitution, which basically means what's the velocity coming in and going out, and like how much of that, like, you know, so now there's going to be less bounciness in the ball. And they've measured it over this offseason, and they've come up with something that they think will reduce home runs, because while home runs are great, they're exciting. We just talked about why home runs are so good and why players are changing their whole careers. Just hit more of them. If once again, any observer of the game has seen a ball hit off the end of the bat and it doesn't look like it's going to be doing much, and then somehow it gets out. And, you know, we could all have our separate opinions on this, but those home runs, I don't know. The aesthetic of them just isn't the same as, you know, obviously a home run that's crushed, and it's like, and then you see across the league, you know, all of a sudden there's a 30 homer season, even not special anymore. And then in addition to these alterations of the ball, also 5 more teams are using Humidors this year. So 5 additional teams to, I believe, the 5 that already were. So if you don't know, a Humidor is just something where the teams keep the balls before the game. The biggest example of this was the Arizona Diamondbacks. They used to not have a Humidor, and balls were flying out of their park. And then they used one to reduce the home run rate a little bit. So now I believe a third of the league is going to be using Humidors this year. So that will also decrease. They think it will also decrease home run rates a little bit. And now the thing that's just crazy about this is, you know, after we've seen the juice ball era, if you will, if you're under the assumption that MLB has no idea what it's doing and that this has been accidental, then what if what if they still don't know what they're doing? What could we see this year? Could this have effects? Because they just want the effects to be slight, but what if it has major effects? What if home runs are way down? Like I said, the wall scraping home run that doesn't look like a home run off the bat is the most aesthetically pleasing thing. But in general, home runs are amazing. And just for the growth of the game, you need home runs. Home runs are the best highlight in the game, besides for like any amazing defensive plays, I think, in my opinion. So it's just, we're kind of going into this unknown. And if you have the same trust issues with MLB that I personally have, who knows what these effects are going to have. Although I am glad that they are actually telling us what's going on. So before we get into reminders, I just want to open up the floor. If anyone has any thoughts on what you think of MLB de-juicing the ball, if you think that's good for the game or bad for the game, if anyone has thoughts on that.
I mean, personally, last couple of years, I've been getting really sick of Yankee hitters just kind of flicking the ball over that short porch. So if that's not going to happen as much, I'm fine with that. I agree. Like, I think home runs are a huge part of the game. I'd like to see a little bit more of not necessarily small ball, but like actually manufacturing runs a little bit. Like, I think when you look at like some of these teams that have won the World Series recently, like 2018, 2019, 2020, all these teams, Dodgers, Red Sox, they're able to, like, yeah, they can hit home runs, but they don't 100% rely on it. Like, they can still hit a double off the wall, get a single, and then a fly ball to get them in. Like, they can still manufacture runs, where I feel like the Yankees, like, just to pick them out just because they're known for hitting so many home runs, I think they're almost too reliant on it, just because, like, when you get into the playoffs, you have to be able to manufacture runs as well as being able to just hit the long ball. But that's my thought.
Yeah, Matt, what teams are using the Humidor? I'm just curious.
I don't have them off the top of my head, but I can look it up real fast.
I can find out.
You said 5 new teams or 5 teams in general?
5 new teams. Do you know what? Okay. The previous teams, I have them right here. The new ones are not announced, but the previous teams are the Diamondbacks, as I mentioned, the Mariners, the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Rockies. And then this year, 5, in addition to those 5, are being added, but they were not announced at the time of this announcement. So I'm not sure. But yeah, so what was that? Mets, Rockies, Diamondbacks, Mariners, Red Sox. Yeah.
You said White Sox? That's interesting. The Mets are interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Diamondbacks and Rockies, you kind of understand
Even the
why
Mariners,
they'd have
I
them.
feel like
But,
they're in
and
the Mariners. I don't know what their climate is out there, but it must be pretty different.
yeah.
I don't know why the Mets would do that.
So anyway, if there are no other thoughts on juice ball stuff, yeah, I guess if you have anything else to say, go for it now. What? Sorry, Peter?
Yeah. I actually can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Actually, comment on the line drive, fly ball, and ground ball percentages. So just like doing reading over the past a couple months or so, and kind of learning about launch angles and all that stuff. They've actually found that it's really difficult to find good year-to-year correlations between hitters' line drive percentages. And it's mostly, I don't want to say luck, but, they use certain thresholds. And if, you don't hit a ball within that certain degree marker, then it's not going to be counted as a line drive. So they've found that line drive percentages are pretty hard to correlate year to year. And something else that I read up on it, I think I sent you the article, Matt, but how exit velocity, or not exit velocity, launch angles they actually aren't entirely indicative of like what you should be looking for in terms of how a hitter is hitting a ball. Like it's more the range within where they're hitting the ball. I don't know if
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense because
the middle,
if you hit a
50%.
ball, if you hit tons of pop-ups, then your average launch angle could increase, and those are one of the least valuable batted balls you could have. But I mean, with in terms of like this Rendon thing, I think like just generally speaking across a big enough sample of rising launch angle, you know, I was just, you can see what he's trying to do, and generally speaking, but yeah, like you said, it is interesting because it's not the end all be all. You can't be hitting all pop-ups. That's not good.
Yeah. And like Peter, what you were saying, how like too many pop-ups could like affect your overall launch angle. I don't know if big league teams do this, but I know for Fordham, we don't look at average. We look at average and standard deviation. And we just normalize it so that we can figure out like realistically it's almost like a weighted average type of thing, so that we can have an idea. Because like our range, like we go 28, I believe, 28 to 35. So we'll just like weight it based on that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a range that you have to keep in mind. So
all right, so now Connor, if you want to,
Yep,
let's start reminders.
Yeah, a few reminders. We have the MIT Sloan Analytics Conference coming up. We have the funding for it, so we'll be able to stream that. We actually just today got the approval for a room as well. So both days, April 8th and April 9th, we have, I believe it's, let me see what room it is. JMH 112. So we'll be in there for 2 straight days. We have that room, so we'll be able to broadcast it. Well, there'll be more coming up. Obviously, we'll send some emails out about it, and the logistics with all that stuff. If you guys have any blog posts, ideas, or something you want to write about or look into a little bit, feel free to email us, Matt or I. We'll kind of look it over and kind of give you some ideas if you need something, or just kind of guide you whatever you may need. And then fantasy baseball draft. We'll I guess Peter and Matt and I will figure something out tonight and then let you guys know tomorrow.
Yeah, and then just a last reminder, this week's opening day. Very exciting week, one of the best of the year. And just like one tip I want to give out, if you don't do this already, I'm sure a lot of you do this already, but one thing that's really cool to have open when you're watching a game, if you have a screen handy, is I recommend doing it on like a bigger screen, like a computer screen, not just your phone, although your phone would work, but pulling up the Savant game feed while you're watching a game. It's just so cool to see like each pitch come in, see the official miles an hour, because the broadcast miles an hour, while fine, isn't always like official. Like just for me personally, I love to see like the tens, like decimal place in the mile an hour, just to see what it really was. And Savant's, I love the the colors, like with the deep red for like really fast pitch, and then obviously the spin rate comes in live, pitch type comes in live, because sometimes, especially if you're watching a starter that has like 5 pitches, it can be tough to tell exactly, was that a sinker, was that his cutter? Some pitchers throw like really fast cutters and you can't even tell sometimes. So that just is really cool to have up and watch the stuff come in live. Every single pitch. Just a tip I want to give out. If anyone does that, it really enhances your watching experience. So yeah, definitely do that if you're into that type of stuff with pitching.
And just to add on to that, I love looking at that thing, because also like it'll show previous at bats, and you can go in and see like I know one of the things I love to look at is like second time through an order, third time through an order, how pitchers adjust against certain guys, and it enables you to like you can go in and look at their previous at bat, see how he attacked them, and then compare that to the next at bat. So definitely something worth having open.
Yeah, like you can filter like for player name, and then just boom, see that match up right there. It's really a cool thing to have open when you watch a game.
Yep.
All right. Now, if anyone has any specific thing they're excited for the season, you can go ahead and share that right now, because I know a lot of people are probably excited.
Matt, can I add a couple things? Just like
go for it, Peter.
General announcements. Yeah. So, first of all, if you guys haven't already and you're interested in doing so, we're running for EBoard next year. I think we have the list of the people who are eligible just based on how many meetings you've been to up on the forum. But we definitely encourage you guys to run. We're looking to like expand our team, obviously, and just get new people in our EBoard. And then for the MIT Sloan Conference, we don't have a schedule for that yet, but the list of speakers are announced. And once we do get a schedule, we'll pass it along to you guys. So if you guys want to see somebody speak, like I know A-Rod's speaking, Michael Lewis is speaking, just like big names in baseball, specifically off the top of my head, we'll pass it along to you guys, when to stop by JMH if you do want to watch them speak. And then I forget the third one, but that's all I really wanted to say.
So yeah, opening day this week. I know for me personally, I'm excited to watch Jameson Taillon pitch for the first time. But if no one's got anything else, then we could call it a meeting.
Actually, Matt, you just reminded me.
Sure.
Because you said Jameson Taillon, and I just triggered my memory. I do have a blog post coming out this Friday. It's been very frustrating because it's a coding project put together, but it's about Tommy John recovery, and it does talk about Jameson Taillon and Luis Severino. So that's kind of my plug for this week.
I've seen Peter working on the coding when I've visited his room. It's you're gonna want to check out this blog post.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out, everyone. Hope you liked the presentation about some juice balls. And until next time, have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Solid.